Galvamax, love the Luffy profile picture. All right, I was gonna wait the full 5 minutes to let people come in, but we're just gonna go ahead and get started because this isn't a super long stream, anything like that. We're just gonna chill and talk for a minute because I've been gone for a minute and I should really tell you guys what's been going on. There's like there is there is no pizzazz to that. Hang on a second. We need to fix that.
Adrian! No.
Maybe I should turn on the mic. That would be very helpful. Um, hey guys, how's it going, Tube Tech students? It's your boy Diddles, and I'm finally back from the hospital, so that's cool. Um, I really don't know how to follow up a statement like that. I guess I should start off by explaining why I was in the hospital. So about, I want to say 2 years ago, or maybe it was a year ago. I don't know exactly when the time placement was, but I lost my insurance. That's right. I, an American, fell victim to the American health insurance industry. You hate to see it. But anyway, I lost my health insurance. And for those of you who don't know, I'm diabetic, type 2, was diagnosed in high school, and they immediately got it under control. I was on medication forever, and then I just suddenly lost it. I didn't suddenly lose it. I was stupid, and I just stopped taking my medication and going to the doctor. I think it was no. I'm not gonna say I was stupid. I made a stupid choice because the only doctor that was near me at the time was an on-campus doctor, and they were all the way like at the end of the campus, and I'm like, that's too far to walk to go to a doctor for all of this. Plus then I would have to have them send a prescription to somewhere, and I don't have a car. My mom did not trust me to take a car to college at all. So there was no way I'd be able to pick up the prescriptions at all. Oh, I've lost a lot of weight. I, I'll explain the arm in a second. It won't come up. But anyways, yeah, I lost it for a bit. Worked my ass off to get insurance when I was done with college. And I think I had it for about a year. And I was getting my medication back on track, my pills and everything, checking my blood sugar, everything was great. But then I fell under financial hardship. Why is that? Because I'm going to say this loud and clear. Never value another person over yourself. That's not to say don't love. I will never spread that message of saying don't love. I'm a lover. My heart is big and full for everyone. But you come first, and you need to take care of yourself before you take care of anyone else. Because I lost a lot of shit putting other people above myself, and insurance was on that list. The car was the other thing on the list. But regardless, um, lost my insurance. So I went back into the cycle of just trying to work my ass off so I could get insurance through work. Um, but we know how the job market is in America right now. Not good at all. I mean, it's in the toilet. It's a big old doo-doo flake that's stuck on the side of the toilet that no matter how hard you piss on it, you just can't clean it off. So, um, I was working my ass off, pushing myself, giving 110%, completely ignoring the fact that I'm not a college kid anymore. I know, listen to Unk talking like back in my day when I was your age. I'm 27 going on 28. It's not that old, but it's also not that young. I'm getting up in there and I couldn't keep pushing myself. But no matter how hard I pushed myself and tried to manage my diet, the insulin was not keeping up with it. My health was constantly getting worse because my diabetes was out of control and there was no way that I could get the medication I needed without getting insurance. And it was either work my ass off, get full time, and then get insurance that way, or I. This is why I like editing because I can take stuff like this out. Um, but it was either work my ass off to get insurance through work whenever they did it, or drop 300 a month on health insurance, which I definitely could not afford. So it was work my ass off while my health just got worse and worse. And when I was at work one day, I noticed a pain in my right knee and my left shoulder, and I was like, "Oh man, that's bad." But I did just have a fever recently, so maybe, just maybe, it's just body cramps and I'll be fine. So I kept working with it, like doing stretches to sort of make the pain go away. But then it kept getting worse. And then a week went by. And then 2 weeks went by. And then I could no longer get out of bed. I'm talking like my leg was straight no matter what position I put it in. It was pain, like constant pain. There was nothing I could do to get any sort of satisfaction. If I got up, it hurt. If I laid down, it hurt. If I sit, it hurt. And the worst part is I was still taking my dumb ass to work. I was still trying. That's the mindset I'm in. Ignore the fall risk ban. I refuse to cut it off for some fucking reason. Um I was still going to work. I was still pushing myself constantly to work through the pain because that's what we're taught to do. The pain doesn't matter. You got to work through it. I went to urgent care a couple of times and they were like, "Oh, it's probably just some I don't even remember what they said the first time, but they gave me a shot that was a muscle relaxer that worked for like a day and then the pain was back." The second time I went, they were like, "Oh, well then I just have no idea. Hey, Mr. Gamer, how you doing?" And the second time I went back to urgent care, they were just like, "Yeah, we just don't know. So we're just going to prescribe you some painkillers and muscle relaxers to help you." Um Painkillers were great. That's a terrible sentence. Strike that from the record. The painkillers did a great job, but the muscle relaxers, if I did not take them at the exact same time, it was hell on earth. Because the only thing it would do is make my body go limp and be in pain at the same time if I didn't have both in my system. So eventually, it got to the point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Something has to be wrong with me. So, and I'm glad Combee is here because I'm going to have him take this down and edit it into a funny haha video because I have no ad revenue for the past 2 months. Anyway, it got to the point where it was unbearable. I had to order food constantly, but it was just like it would just sit outside because it took me 15 minutes to get my cane. That's right, Unk has a cane. He's old. To get my cane, get out of bed, and hobble over to the door, and then find out how am I going to bend over to pick up the food. Like I was in tears, actual tears. I was like crying out. What did I do to deserve this? This is not fair. All I've done is work constantly and try my best to be a decent person. Why am I suffering like this? So, anyway, I got enough of it and I was just like, fuck it. This ambulance bill is going to cost me an arm and a leg. We're just going to fucking go. So I called 911 and got transported to the hospital. And when I was there, amazing story, by the way. I'm glad you mentioned sepsis. We'll get there. So I get to the hospital and they, first of all, when I was on the gurney and my leg was elevated, there was like no pain. I was sleeping. I was in the ambulance just watching the road go by. It was so nice. But then when they put me in that wheelchair in that hospital and my leg just could not get in a comfortable position, I was like, God damn. Eventually, they moved me over to a seat in the waiting room, and I was in that waiting room for 4 hours with my leg just bent at a weird angle because it wasn't a straight seat, it was a curved seat, so there was no actual way to keep my leg from being in pain, right? So eventually they get me back into a room. They get me set up to IV, blah blah blah, all of that, and I'm like, hey, so what's the problem? And I tell them about my knee and my shoulder, and I'm like, yeah, it's this and that, blah blah blah. And they were like, oh, okay, hang on. What we're going to do is we're going to check on the baby in your knee. And I was like, and that's when they brought out, I can't remember what it's called, but it's essentially when a woman is pregnant and they put that gel on their little tum tum with the little machine to see the baby moving around inside. Yeah, they did that to my knee. And they're like, all right, yeah, let's see here. Oh wow, yeah, that's a lot of liquid in your knee. It was sepsis arthritis. And I was like, what is that? It was like, basically it's when an infectious liquid gets into an ultrasound. Yes, they were like, it's when an infection gets into your knee and that liquid is just like pooling. Yeah, it could develop into arthritis and it could also fucking kill you. So I'm glad you came in. And I was like, oh, yay, so what do we do about this? And they're like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a long ass needle about this long and shove it into your knee and take out some of that liquid to send it in for testing. Mr. Gamer, I'm glad you made it. I really am. And I was like, oh wow, how big is the needle and should I look? And the nurse was like, don't look, do not watch at all. So I was like, okay, so first we're gonna give you like a shot into your knee to like numb it. So they did that. They took the needle, went in, sucked it out. It was very unpleasant, but it was it was like there. Um and when they took it out, guys, I shit you not, it was the color of lemon lime Gatorade. That sight is a core memory for now. Disgust and sadness saw that core memory come down the thing, and they're like, ugh, ugh, uh. So they took it to the lab, and that's when they came back and gave the confirmation that yeah, it's sepsis arthritis. We're gonna have to admit you to the hospital and set you up for a surgery where we're gonna make an incision, basically power wash that shit out of you. We're gonna get everything out, and then we'll go on from there. And I was like, oh, okay, so that shouldn't be too bad. They checked me, they admitted me. I went in for the night, tried my best to sleep, couldn't. Obviously, I was in pain. Um, but anyway, the next morning, they took me in for the surgery, gave me that whole spiel about how, like, yeah, so we're gonna put you under, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, by the way, small chance you might not wake up and you'll just go see your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So sign this waiver. And I'm like, get this liquid out of me now. So I went under, I came back. My grandma says my grandma claims, I'm gonna say claims, that while I was under, I mentioned something or other about not wanting the ice cream, and I don't know what the fuck that could ever be in reference to, but we're gonna leave that be. By the way, my grandmother is here. She's helping out for a little bit before she has to leave on the 15th, so I've been working on getting there, but I'm not gonna keep jumping. I'm gonna keep telling the story. Um, I went under. When I came back, when I came to, leg was wrapped up, everything was done, and the pain was worse than when the liquid was in. And I was like, ah, pain meds. Um, they took me back to the room to rest up for a bit. I could show you the cool knee scar if possible. I'd have to stand up, and I really don't want to. The angels did save you, Mr. Gamer. Um, they saved me too. I was resting for like a day, keeping it elevated, and they had physical therapists come in to come check out the leg, make sure it was doing all right. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't keeping it bent. I was trying to straighten it. Hey, Andrew. Basically, just don't let the leg sit in one spot or it's going to heal wrong. Um, I don't want to name drop him, so I'm not going to I'm going to change his name for the story. We're going to call him Jiggly. So while I was in this hospital recovering from the basic, I guess knee surgery is the best way to say it. I met my night nurse, and he was my night nurse almost every night, and we're gonna call him Jiggly. Now, Jiggly had a problem. Jiggly didn't like his fucking job. And you know whose fault it was he didn't like his job? Me. It was my fault that he didn't like his job. So he would come in every night, half-ass checking my vitals, doing the thermometer in the mouth. So basically, this bothers me enough where I have to bring it up. When doctors check your temperature, they take the thing, put a little plastic tip on it, and put it in your mouth, and they hold it there so that they can get an accurate read. He'd come in, floppy cock his hand, barely get the plastic on, put it in, and then just move his hand away. So it just, and I'm like, I can't hold it with my teeth so you can get the temperature. He's like, I can't get a read on your temperature. I do not know what's going on. And I'm like, maybe if you did your job right, but I didn't say that. So anyway, James didn't like his job, and he didn't like being told what to do. So there was one night I was making decent recovery in the hospital. The pain was still there, but it was lessening, and with some of the exercises that I was doing, it was healing pretty well. And for those of you who don't know, when you get admitted to the hospital, they give you hospital socks because they don't want you going anywhere without them on, because there's a risk of you slipping and falling. Let the thermometer free roam. But I don't like wearing them when I'm in bed. I don't like wearing socks in bed. If my feet get cold, I put them under the covers. That's just how I roll. So Jiggles comes in, and I'm like, hey, I don't really like wearing socks. Can you help me take them off so I can go to bed? Now, the normal thing to do in this situation would be to roll them from the ankle and then take them off. This big black buffoon grabbed me by the toes of my socks and just ripped them off, yanking my legs straight. And I let out a cry to the Lord like has never been heard before. I was like, ah, ah. And you know what this man did? Walked right out the room, didn't say shit. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. As soon as I got another nurse, I let them know what Jiggle did, and they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk to him. And then I didn't see him for like 3 nights, and I was like, oh, he must have got in trouble. I'm a terrible person. But no, I guess he was just on vacation because he came back. But anyway, when I was in the hospital, it was so bad, like trying to stand, that standing was causing me to sweat, like full body sweat. And they gave me a walker for it too. And like, I just couldn't do it. And they're like, all right, so now we're going to work on pivoting. And I'm like, nigga, I can barely stand. And you want me to do a pirouette? What do you want from me? So anyway, they would put a safety belt on me, like, don't worry, I'll hold you while you move to the side and do this, this, and that. And I'm like, can we just slow down and focus on standing? They did not listen. Probably because I'm still not insured, and they were like, oh, this is all, he's basically a charity case. Give him the bare minimum. They were just trying to get me out of there as fast as they could, essentially. I guess another core memory is during this whole pirouette practice, They were like, they wanted me to move from the bed to the wheelchair and back to the bed. But one day they were like, you need to sit up so you can really get some like blood flow in your leg, or else it's just gonna get worse. So we're gonna move you over to the chair all the way in the corner. So they did that. And when they got me in that chair, there was no comfortable way to rest my leg at all. I was just in constant pain in the chair. I'm slamming my nurse button. I'm like, please get me back. Must have been the wind as nurse. So, anyway, I'm slamming on the nurse button because I'm really trying to get back in the bed. Hey, hey, Blood Sharks, you're hearing about my hospital adventures really quick on this stream. Um, oh yeah, so I completely forgot when he put me down in the chair after the pirouette. My leg at that point could only bend about that much. That's a bad example. Like if this, don't do that. If this is straight, my leg could only bend about that much comfortably before it started to be in pain. And he was like, all right, now we're just gonna sit down in the chair. And when he let me fall, my leg did that. And I was just, ah! Why do you niggas do this? Why do you thrive on my pain? Why? And you know what he did? Must have been the wind. Walked right out that room. So I'm slamming on the nurse call button. I'm like, please get me back in the bed. I'm in so much pain. I cannot do this. They're like, someone will be with you shortly. So 2 South Parks episode later, the nurse walks in the room. And they're like, all right, so what's going on? And I'm like, as I said on the intercom, I need to get back in the bed because my leg hurts. And they're like, okay, I'll check with your nurse to see what they can do. So another episode of South Park goes by, and at this point I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna make them come in here. So I just start lifting myself out of the chair just enough for the alarm to start blaring, because I'm labeled as a fall risk. So everything I'm on has an alarm that says, hey, he's trying to get up, go help him. So I'm basically trying to trigger the alarm to get someone to come in my room. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, get me in the bed now. And they bring in this machine called a Hoyer. Now, the Hoyer is basically like, I don't want to call it an amusement park ride, but it basically is. They take these latches and they attach it to like this mat that you're sitting on, and then they will hoist you into the air. So you're just like airborne as they turn and twist you back into the bed. So that eventually happened twice, right? So eventually I was like, you know what? I don't know how much more of this I can take. I really need some better pain meds if they're gonna keep having me do this here. So I requested that, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll see what we can do for your IV. The nurse leaves, and then there's a knock at the door. I'm like, oh, thank God, that must be the painkillers for my IV. And they walked in, they're like, well, you're getting discharged. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we're sending you to rehab. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was going home to recover. They're like, nope, we're sending you to rehab, motherfucker. Get on the stretcher. And I'm like, okay. So they lift me up, put me on the stretcher, and I am transported to rehab now. And I'm like, so what's the deal here? And they're like, okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to help you get back to standing, straightening your leg, and then hopefully eventually walking. And I was like, I don't know, that's a lot right now. And they're like, I know, don't worry, we'll give you like a day or two to see how your body is doing, and then we'll go from there. We'll decide how long we're gonna keep you and how intensive it's gonna be. And at rehab, basically what it was 3 hours a day. You were doing exercises in the gym. It was split up between physical therapy, occupational therapy, recreational therapy, which was great. I need to go get that so I can show you guys. Recreational therapy, which is essentially like, hey, it's boring as hell sitting in a hospital. We're going to get you to paint. We're going to get you to play on the Wii. We're going to have you do a whole bunch of things and everything will be great. Now, the only downside about rehab was that I went from being in a 1-bedroom room to having a roommate. Now, I had 3 roommates over the course of me staying there. The first roommate, I only had him for 2 days. He was already at the end of his stay. He was relatively fine. Like, of course, he would grunt in pain all night, but that was typical. I was doing the same thing. The second roommate, let's call him Bob. This absolute rage baiter of God. He lost his whole leg due to diabetes. And I'm like, thank God I didn't get to that point. And I was like, but you know what? I guess once you get there, there's nothing to lose. So you really just like start getting your life better, right? No. This man, Bob, every hour of the day was calling his nurse, and they'd walk in the room like, what's going on, Bob? He's like, hey, I know you can't give it to me. I know I'm not supposed to have it, but can I please get a brownie or a cookie or something? I want something sweet. And I'm like, I see. You forgot what got you into this predicament in the first place. Date bio. Great. You love to see it. And these all sound like nitpicks, but it all served to keep me motivated to constantly do better so I could get out of there. He also had the problem of flirting with anyone that looked like they were under the age of 20. Every time someone walked in and they were under the age of 20, he would be like, oh, I can't do. Well, hold up. What's your name? Who is you? And just like constantly talking about how beautiful they are and everything. I have never been made more aware of in my life that I was a man, and I felt such shame. I was like, God, I pray to you when I get to that age, do not let me be like that. Because I love people. If I see someone who is beautiful, I let them know that they're beautiful because that brightens their day. I never wanted to progress to the point that he was at. It was insane. And one of the nurses who I will not name, we were shooting the shit. She was so cool. She was absolutely amazing. And they let me in on a little insider thing, letting me know that flirting with the staff is considered harassment and is notable for a write-up. He had like 7. So there's a good chance that if he needs rehab again, he's not going to be let back in. You're close, Combee. VeggieTales. Anyway, the other thing was that he was older. He was older. He wasn't all there. And the way the TVs there work is that the sound comes out of the remote, so he couldn't hear. He had his remote on max like all the time, but he wasn't watching TV because he was asleep like 24/7. They would have to come in there and wake him up for his therapies like constantly. And whenever he would go, I would ask the nurse like, can you mute his TV so I can rest? But it was the worst at night, because at night he would fall asleep with it like right next to him, and it's just blaring throughout the entire room. And the thing that made it worse is that he would fall asleep with the light on too. So blaring light, blaring sound, me in a hospital bed, my knee pulsating in pain because because the nurse hasn't come by with my pain pills. I'm just like, take me. Just end me now. Uh-oh. Anyways, long story short, he gets discharged. I get some good rest. And then I get my third roommate, who's basically nothing. That was very rude. He was a great guy. Kept his TV on low all the time. Gave me my privacy. Everything was great. So physical therapy was basically just a lot of standing, and I guess I'll demonstrate it a little bit. A lot of the exercises, I'm never going to be able to get this chair back on the mat. You don't need to see that. That's not for you. I'm not here for you. A lot of the exercises was literally just from the wheelchair. Oh yeah, the arm. Completely skipped over that. At the hospital, they did a scan on my arm, realized there was a little bit of sepsis in there too, so they cleaned it out. There's nerve damage in there, so it's kind of hard to move, but it's healing little by little. A lot of it was just standing sitting back down, stuff like that. And then it progressed eventually to walking. So now, even though it is with the walker, hang on. I'm making good progress. Well, not on that. That's uneven. I be doing twirls and shit. Can hop a little bit on one leg, and the other, I'm getting better at supporting my weight. I don't exactly know how long I'm gonna need the walker. I'm hoping it's just for the month. But I'm able to get into the office now, and I'm hoping to get back to making regularly scheduled content for you guys. You Laugh, You Lose, animatics and stuff. That's most likely going to start happening a bit on the 15th more than anything, once I'm able to fully move around and do my own stuff. But yeah, basically while I was at the hospital, long story short, they got me started back on my insulin. I'm regulating my meals. I did lose a lot of weight from not doing anything. I was over 250. I think it was like 256. And my goal for the end of the year was to be under 230. I'm 221 now. And I'm like, well, damn, what am I supposed to do now? But yeah, I have all of my diabetic stuff now. I'm on the up and up. I'm healing, and I am hoping that I will be able to come back to you guys stronger than ever and do more. This will be a pretty short stream. I'm about to end it now. It's about time for my next round of muscle relaxers, and those knock me the fuck out. But yeah, it was also cool coming in and Robin, because I was in the hospital for like 2 months, 2.5 months. Hospital plus rehab, 2.5 months. Just like insane. I was so tired, and the hospital had no access to the window. Rehab, I had like the beautiful sight of another hospital building, but at least I got sunlight. But now I'm here, and as I heal, I'm gonna do a little bit more walking, a little bit more stuff, and once I'm fully healed, or as fully healed as I can be, expect a short on the channel of me doing the Teto bird brain dance. You can't stop me. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm back. You Laugh, You Lose 61 is in the editing bay right now. Jasper is having some trouble with it because I forgot to record the meme audio, so he has to do a lot of extra work. In the meantime, I'm probably going to record some new stuff for you. I'm going to keep working on the Masterpiece review series. You guys are going to see some unconventional videos, but they're ones that I've wanted to make for a while, so I'm going to sit down and actually make them. This is a new era for me, and hopefully this is a new era for you guys. And don't forget that God loves you. You guys have a great night. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to go rest. Combee, you're fired after you edit this.
Adrian! No.